Welcome to the Carry On Couple podcast with Ryan and Katrina. This is our podcast about our adventures and how we make life magical. We're going to tell you all about how we travel the world on a tight budget and still make it awesome.
We can't say that our way will work for everybody, but we want to share our experiences with you so that you might be able to have your own travel adventures. And if you're listening, we want you to know that you and I, we're in a club now, the Carry On Club.
Episode 4!
The
fourth. That's right. We got it. Okay, so welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Happy Monday. Woot woot. I don't think we've ever heard anybody say Happy Monday. Blech. But this is what you have to look forward on Mondays. The Carry On Couple podcast. Here we are. All right. So this is episode 4.
Yes, indeed.
This is
We plan, we get there, and all hell breaks loose.
part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. The adventure continues.
Aww.
So our last episode, we talked about pre-planning. And we didn't realize it was going to take as long as it has been. But oh my goodness, we talked a lot about pre-planning.
Yeah. Like I said before, I didn't realize how much thought I put into things before we actually start planning something.
Yeah. So how about we start talking about planning?
Yeah, we're not going to fake you out again.
No.
This time we're really going to talk about planning.
Yeah, let's plan. So what do you have that's good advice for somebody when they start the actual planning process?
Okay, so for the actual planning process, I would say price check and compare, because you don't have to just buy the first thing you see.
But I found it. It's done. It's ready to go.
I mean, you can, but chances are if you look around, you'll either find something that's a better price or
I can find something that's a better price?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I know. Or a better fit for what you're looking for, or just something entirely different. So I don't know. I like to kind of spend some time looking around, checking everything against things. You can really get sucked into a dark black hole by doing this.
Okay, good. You were being a little modest there. I kind of sort of do this thing where I sort of look. No, we both do this. We go down the black hole. We compare prices like crazy. We look at reviews.
Yeah.
We look to see if it's worth the money.
Yep.
We look to see how much money it is.
Accurate.
Because there's been a lot of things that we haven't been able to afford. There's also been things that we've splurged on, but because the reviews were so amazing that we just thought it's gotta be worth it.
Right.
And 99% of the time it has been.
Yeah. But I would say try to either have somebody there who's going to help pull you out of that black hole.
Yes.
And actually commit to something, because you don't want to get stuck in planning limbo. Or give yourself like a deadline, kind of.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do that. We're like, okay, we are booking it by this day.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, you can really just get lost in checking and checking and checking. Especially, I hate so much that the price of flights fluctuates so dramatically. I don't understand how it's legal that it changes that much.
Yeah, something we can't control, though.
But you can't control it.
Yeah.
And you'll make yourself crazy trying to figure out if there's a cheaper flight.
Yeah.
Or if it's going to be cheaper in 2 weeks, and then the price goes up, and then you're kicking yourself in the butt like, oh, why didn't I do it?
So what you're saying is compare prices with moderation.
Yeah. Just,
okay.
Like I said, don't let yourself get stuck in planning limbo where you don't actually.
Limbo, I like that.
You don't actually do anything.
Can we
because
alliterate
you're afraid.
it? Can it be planning purgatory?
Yes. Ooh,
Okay.
I like that way better.
It's not really good for a microphone, like podcast thing. Planning purgatory. Oh, that was really loud. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
You're trying to scare away all of our listeners.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll reduce the sound on that a lot. I forgot that I turned the gain up so much. Whoops. But yeah, so comparing prices, great thing to do. Here's one thing that that's a very good idea. Check the hours of operation for everything.
Yeah, for pretty much everything. Like, you definitely want to check it for any of your accommodation places. If you live in a big city, kind of like we do, like close to Los Angeles, and everything's open 24 hours, and you don't even realize that in other places, things close.
Yeah, people go home.
And no one will be there to let you into your hotel.
Yeah.
You should really look into that because they very clearly do put it on their website.
When the front desk hours are.
Yeah.
For accommodations, it's front desk hours. That's what you want to look for.
Definitely keep that in mind. But also, if there's anything super, super crucial, like on your must-see, must-do list, check the hours so you can plan accordingly and be there when they're open.
Yeah, so like your points of interest, your activities. Also a big one, public transportation.
Oh, yes.
Check the hours of public transportation. We actually have a story about this later when we talk about something else.
We do.
But this it kind of coincides with public transportation and a future topic we're talking about in this episode.
But especially if you're not used to public transportation, I'm just going to give you a heads up. The trains stop running at some point in the evening.
Trains do stop.
They do.
They do. And
they go to bed for the night.
Yeah.
And they don't come back till the morning. So you could be stranded.
Yeah. Yeah, you could be. I know you mentioned points of interest, but restaurants, the hours might vary. For example, in Paris, restaurants aren't open all day long. They're open maybe for breakfast and then closed for a little bit and then open for lunch, then closed for a little bit, and then open for dinner. So like there's places that have varying hours for one restaurant.
Right. And you might think you're being smart and missing the lunch rush by doing it at an off time. But in all actuality, you're not going to be able to eat because nothing's open.
Yeah. Off time means close time. Essential shops. Sometimes pharmacies close in other places.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's a big one. And we've needed to visit pharmacies on most of our trips. There's always been something where we thought we were prepared with what we had packed as far as pharmaceuticals, but we've had to get something that was more specific to something else. Yeah. But yeah, so check the hours and check the hours of everything. There might be things that we missed on this list. Everything. If it has hours posted, check it and make sure you're going to be there when it's open.
Yeah.
Okay. That could also be even not just hours. It could also be open seasons. You could find something that's really cool and find out that it's only open, during summer months.
Right. Yeah. Which I've also done before.
Yeah.
And been like, oh, we should go do this. We're going in March. And guess what? That opens in April.
Yeah. So that's always a bummer. Yeah, the hours of things. I honestly, though, the biggest one for checking your hours is for me personally, is checking the public transportation and checking the hours of your accommodation.
I mean, in the public transportation, I would say you kind of can look into a little bit before you go.
Yes.
But it's probably going to be easier to look at when you get there. Just remember to check it out like the first day.
Yeah.
So that you can plan accordingly after that. Yeah. It's not really something you're going to be probably doing before you leave, but it's something you're going to really want to keep in mind, especially if you're like us and don't want to spend money on a rental car.
Right. Yeah, we don't do that a lot. So here's a couple things that we're going to have completely separate episodes for. You have to do your flights. You have to do your accommodations. You have to do your transportation. You have to pack. Or figure out what you're going to pack.
Why did you even bring that up?
So let's kind of briefly go into all those. So flights. When you're doing flights, a good thing to do, Katrina mentioned checking prices and falling down the black hole and prices going up, going down. There's an easy way you can look into flights, and that's just putting some type of tracker it gives you a price tracker. It lets you know when the prices have gone up or down in either direction.
I like to do that when I don't know necessarily like, oh, we're definitely going to this place on these days. Sometimes I'm like, oh, like if we went here, we'd probably go in the spring or something. And I'll just pick some days and put a tracker on it because it gives you an idea of like what a good price is and what a bad price is. So then when you see something, you feel more comfortable booking it. If you're like, ooh, that doesn't come up very often, it's probably not going to get lower. Or if it does, it's going to be like an insignificant amount lower.
Yeah. Yeah. So like we said, flights, we're going to do a completely separate episode.
I have so many more tips.
Oh my gosh, we have everything, but that'll be coming soon.
One more time.
Coming soon. All right. So accommodations.
Yeah.
Same thing. We're going to go over that a lot because there are a lot of different types of accommodations.
Yeah. We listed a lot of the different types in our last episode, but figuring out how to find those accommodations and how to book them and kind of just navigating it all is a much larger conversation.
Provide, what we
look for in accommodations to like figure out if we want to stay there or not.
Yeah.
So we've got a ton of information that we want to share with you guys on accommodations. So we figured it might as well be its own episode.
Yep. Same thing with transportation. Transportation could possibly get pushed into a combo episode with something else, but we still have a lot of stuff to talk about with that because you can be renting a car, using only public transportation. You could be walking everywhere. We have tips and tricks for all of those things because we have done them all. I think with the only thing that we haven't done is bikes.
Thank you.
But we'll talk about that later.
A fun story for another time.
Yeah. Packing. We have an episode also coming up about packing light. So we're going to talk about everything your essentials that you'll need, how to travel with a carry-on, when you need to check a bag, because we've both checked bags and we've also done full trips with a carry-on only. It's possible. But it
seems impossible, but it's not. And we're going to give you some really great pointers on how to make it happen.
But again, when you're planning your trip, just make sure you got your flights, or not even necessarily flights, your transportation to get there. Yeah. Whether it's flight, train, bus, car.
Right.
Make sure you have any of that locked down.
And then another thing about the packing aspect is that kind of links into what we were talking about in our last episode with weather. Check the weather often. Right up until the night before you leave.
Yeah.
Because
weather changes.
Yeah, it's a fickle friend, weather. Yeah. And
meteorology is a science, but it's not an exact science.
Yeah.
Sometimes they get things wrong, or I don't want to say wrong. They misinterpret the facts.
Yeah. So always better to check and double check and triple check so that hopefully you can be as prepared as possible. I will put one thing that we'll mention again later, I'm sure, in our other episode, but the advice that I received about packing that has saved my brain from exploding many, many times when packing is pack everything that you want to pack that will fit, but don't stress out about what you're forgetting, because most likely you can just buy it wherever you're going.
Didn't I tell you that?
Maybe. Some very wise person.
Yes, quite. Yeah.
And
worst case scenario, you can buy more stuff. I mean, that's obviously not the best budget thing to do. But in worst case, if you run out of underwear, you can buy more underwear.
And especially when it comes to weather specific things, like I said, we live in Southern California where we don't need a lot of extreme weather gear.
Right.
So if we're going somewhere and we realize like, wow, we really did not pack appropriately. I wish we had some really great thermals. Oh, wait, we don't own any of those. If you're somewhere cold where you need thermals, guess what? You can buy them there, and they're probably going to be a better price than you would get at home because everyone needs them there.
Yeah. Cool. So after you're thinking of the packing stuff, the next step that actually this should be one of your first steps for planning. Download a map to use offline. Now, we do actually get paper maps as well. It is a lot easier to have a map on your phone because even if you don't have Wi-Fi, I guess, if you don't have internet
access.
If you don't have internet access, that's what I was looking for. If you don't have internet access, it will still show you a general area of where you are because your phone also has a GPS. So it'll be using that.
Yeah, so we really like using Google Maps.
Yeah, Google Maps, Maps by Google, whatever you call
whatever it is. Because you can, like you said, you can download the map, the area of the map that you want to use.
Yep.
While you have internet, and then use it offline. Yeah. Which is so helpful.
Yeah, and that even goes as far as if you know, like if you have the map downloaded and you're out and about, no internet access, and you know the address of the place you're looking for, you type in that address, you click go, and it starts telling you how to get there, and it tells you to take a lot of things, like sidewalk or like a crosswalk.
The crosswalk.
Yes. Yeah, we always put the voice on because we crack up at how it tells us things.
But another really great thing too, TripAdvisor, if you use that, also has downloadable maps for some of the bigger cities.
Yeah, more limited amount, but
limited amount.
Yeah,
but I like those because if you have it downloaded and you can use it offline, you can search for stuff that you've saved on TripAdvisor. If you've got a restaurant that you were like, oh, I really want to go to that restaurant, and now you don't have internet and you can't remember what it was called or what the address was, you can check it on your TripAdvisor offline map and figure out how to get there.
Yeah, and a really cool thing about that one is if you have that address and you're in some place that English isn't the first language, or you get into a cab that somebody hasn't learned English yet, there's a thing you could do. You click on it and it pulls up a big green card on your phone, and it shows in English what you're looking for, and it shows in their language what you're looking for with the address and everything. So you can just show it to them and they're like, oh, okay, I know where to go.
Yeah, which definitely saved.
But that was English, so
yeah.
So yeah, that's a really good one. Like I said, I think that should be one of the number one things, because originally I put we forget about this sometimes, but Katrina reminded me that we forget it almost every time.
Yeah, we forget it a lot.
We kind of forget we have internet when we're in the hotel room, and we look at something up and we're like, oh, cool, we got it, neat. We just leave Google Maps on and it'll take us there, which it does.
Right.
But then if you leave Google Maps to do something else, like take a picture, you go back to it, you are no longer on that path.
Right. And so usually if we do forget, we only forget for, that one day, because then when we get back to our hotel that night and we have internet again, we download it and it's fine.
Yeah.
But then you're still kind of like a little lost that one day, especially in today's day and age where you get really heavily reliant on the internet. So that's kind of why I like not having internet when we're gone, because it really
it's freeing. It's very freeing.
You have to think about things in a totally different way, and it's really fun to explore and not be able to just have all the answers at your fingertips.
I know my city better now because of traveling without internet, because there have been times where I've been walking around, it's like, okay, I need to mentally picture in my head, where am I? I'm lost. Maybe my phone died or something like that, which happens to me often. But yeah, so I like not having the internet sometimes too.
Yeah. Okay, and we talked about this next thing that we're going to talk about. We talked about in our last episode.
Okay.
And that is activities.
The activities,
which are obviously like a lot of times something you're super excited about.
Yeah.
And you've been looking forward to.
I'm excited about talking about it, and we're not even doing anything right now. I'm like, yes, activities. Woo!
And it is. It's super exciting. The only thing that is not exciting about this is that sometimes you don't think about the fact that you should maybe, I don't know, check the, what did we say before?
Reservations? No. Check
the hours.
Oh, check the hours. Yeah, you got to check the hours, business hours.
Check the business hours.
The season.
Check the season. Check the availability.
Oh, man. Okay. So some things that you have to check is if you need reservations or advance tickets for something. Now, we did a big trip to Europe. One of the main reasons we went on this trip to Europe was because we wanted to go to this super cool WB backstage tour where they take you on these sets and everything. That's awesome. And about a week before, what happened?
Okay, so we were on this trip, and this trip was like a month and a half long. Or no, just like a month, a little over a month. And yeah, we had planned a lot of it before, but we were also planning as we went. So about a week before we got to London, which is where we wanted to do the WB Harry Potter studio tour, We looked it up and it was completely sold out.
Sold out. We even tried to extend our stay there.
Yeah, we
and
were
it was still
willing
sold
to
out.
change the dates of our trip so that we could go.
Mid-trip.
And we couldn't.
Yeah.
There was we were still going to be gone for another 2 weeks at that point, I think, or 2.5 weeks. And the earliest date they had available was 3 or 3.5 weeks later, which we couldn't stay any longer.
Yep.
I cried like a baby.
She did.
I was heartbroken and devastated.
It hurt me, because I was excited about it too.
Yeah.
Not sure if you know this about us, but we're Harry Potter nerds.
Yes.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, I just cried and cried. And we searched for hours that night trying to find some, I don't know, any way to get in, some kind of resale ticket, anything. I was just like, no, we have to do it. That's why we're here. That's why we're going to London. No. And in the end, we couldn't do it. There was no way for us to get tickets. It was completely sold out. There was nothing we could do except for decide that we would come back to London and book it in advance next time.
Yep.
Which is what we did.
And we did it. Yep. So it's neither here nor there now.
Don't make the same mistakes we did and be crying in a hotel room because you can't go to whatever you want to go to.
Hotel Vidale. That's the hotel we were in. That's where we were because that was the password for the internet. Oh, sorry, Hotel Vidale. No. I gave away your internet password.
We're getting banned forever.
Oh, man. Oh, I'd never want to go back to that place.
That wasn't a bad place.
That wasn't a bad place. But okay, so you've booked your activities that you want to do, or you at least look them up to see how much they are. Not everything has advanced tickets. When we did the luge in New Zealand, didn't need advanced tickets. We just needed to buy at the door.
Exactly. So it's not always a thing, but if it's something, I would say if it's an activity or something that you are specifically this is on your I've got to do it list, take the extra time to figure out if you need to book it ahead of time.
Or if you can book it ahead of time.
Just to make sure that you get in.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to go somewhere and spend all this money and all this time getting to this place just for this one thing and then not be able to do it.
Yeah. It's a bummer. Basically, book stuff. Is what we're saying. So you also got to know while you're planning your food. Do you have any food that you you're going to want to eat? You have reservations for a restaurant that you want to do? Mm-hmm. Kind of the same thing with the planning activities. Do you have a restaurant that you need to get reservations for? Do you know a day that you have a certain meal that you want? Same thing, kind of if it's an anniversary, you want to have our first date was having hot dogs, so we have a hot dog on our anniversary. That wasn't our first date.
Not our first
date.
No,
I'm pretty sure it was popcorn because we watched a movie.
Maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a different story. But there's specials, and I say specials Taco Tuesday, Wonton Wednesday,
Margarita
Monday, Thirsty Thursday. If there's things like that you want to do, there's that's something you might want to plan some of your trip about. So plan food.
Yeah. Also, like we were talking about in our last episode, I'm a food motivated traveler.
Yes.
So when I decide that we're going somewhere, almost immediately, I start looking up lists of
ice cream.
Yeah, mostly ice cream, but also other food that I need to eat while we're there. Is there a local
ice cream shop?
Yes, local ice. Yes, okay, I really like ice cream, guys. Is there a local specialty, or is there something?
Oh, especially like frozen yogurt.
Oh my gosh! Yes, frozen yogurt, custard. Anything, sorbet, anything, guys, anything.
Okay,
but
sorry, I'm done with ice cream
gelato,
stuff.
Anything. But yeah, no, looking up to see if there is a specialty. For instance, an obvious thing, if you're going to Texas, probably eat barbecue.
Probably.
Definitely eat brisket.
Yep.
This is obvious.
Yeah. Yeah,
but,
so you're thinking of a must-try restaurant,
yes,
you have to do this.
Yeah, any
number one on TripAdvisor.
Right. The thing that any local or any tourist would be like, oh my God, did you go here? And then you want to be like, yes, I did, and it met my expectations, or it kind of sucked.
We're gonna do an episode on food.
That makes total sense.
We're going to do that. We don't know when, because we just found out now we're doing that. Okay, so when you're planning something, you got a lot of things planned. You got, your flights, all this, that. You have activities planned, but you're kind of thinking, maybe I'm not quite there. Like, I don't know if I have all the right stuff. Best thing to do is ask the hive mind. And I mean, like, go on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, say, hey, I'm going to this place. What's there to do?
Yeah.
And a lot of times you know somebody that lives there, or you know somebody that's even just been there.
Yeah,
and they can give you stuff.
We've done this with so many of our trips and been shocked at and sometimes it's not even people we know who have been there, but it'll be a friend who will tag a friend and be like, hey, didn't you just go on a trip to here?
Yeah.
My friends are going, please advise them.
Yeah.
And they'll give you a bunch of suggestions.
And they'll do it because they're excited about it.
Yeah. And they want to share like the cool things they found when they were there, or maybe tell you, hey, that robot restaurant in Tokyo.
Oh, don't do it. No. Don't do it. Don't do it. The robot restaurant is the worst thing in the world.
That will be part of a destination episode.
Oh, gosh. But if you're listening to this now and you're ready to go to Japan, cancel it. Don't do it.
Oh, man.
We'll talk about that later more.
Yeah,
about how
but
not
honestly,
to do it.
You're so funny. You can get a lot of really great information from your friends or friends of your friends or mere acquaintances. So just ask. And,
if you ask the hive mind, you might end up finding a place to stay.
Accurate.
That's happened to us before, going to some pretty big places where we found out that we knew somebody that lived somewhere. And they're like, hey, come stay with me for a day. Instead of paying for 3 nights, you could just stay with me for 1.
Yeah, which is super amazing. I know for us, too, anytime people tell us they're going to be in the area from out of town, we are more than happy to let them stay with us.
Yeah.
As long as they don't mind an air mattress or a couch.
Right.
And
a very comfortable couch.
Yes, very true.
Yeah.
But part of that stems from the fact that we tend to try and ask friends, like, hey, we're going to be in town. Can we stay on your couch?
Yeah.
So,
always expect to know.
Pay it forward.
Yeah, always expect to know and have backup.
But if a yes happens, then
we don't show up at the door and be like, hi, we're here. Let's stay here.
Way ahead of time.
Yeah. And we always offer things like, oh, we'll take care of your kid while you go and have a date while we're there or something. We'd offer things like that. Cool. So you've asked the hive mind. Some things that are a little more, or at least one thing here that's a little more specific to traveling to different countries.
Yeah.
Is you got to pay attention to the currency.
Yeah. So a lot of times, if you're smart, you know that if you're going to a different country and they use different currency, you should probably get some of their currency before you leave.
So are you saying we're not smart because we basically forget this every trip?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we're very intelligent, but
we
sometimes
did it our last big trip,
dumb.
though. We did it our last big
trip. That's true. This is the first time out of all of our trips that we remembered to get local currency prior to getting off the airplane.
Hey, you remember how we talked about checking hours for things?
Yeah.
Banks have hours?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. And sometimes ATM machines have hours too.
Yeah. That's accurate.
Oh, no, I said ATM machines. Oh, no, that's worse. It's ATM or AT machines. Oh, automated teller machines. Oh.
You're horrible.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, but really though, I think I do have to tell you my favorite story about us forgetting to get currency. So when we went to Europe, we got off our train in Prague at 11:30?
Yeah, long distance train. Like this was a train we had tickets for.
Yeah. So we get off and everything in the train station is closed.
Yeah. Including the public transportation. No, not the public transportation. No, it wasn't closed. That was open.
The public transportation was open, but like I said before, we were kind of dumb and we didn't get any currency, local currency before. Yep. So I don't know what we were thinking, but we got off the train. It's almost midnight and we start looking around and we're like, oh, all the currency exchange places are closed.
But we did find an ATM.
We did.
And we got currency out.
And we got currency. It was a paper bills, which was great, except for the fact that to buy your ticket for the public transportation, you needed coins.
Yeah.
And there was no way to exchange bills for coins.
Nope.
So
there wasn't even any like soda machines around or anything. Like,
no,
there was
way. Nothing. There was absolutely nothing. There was all the information booths were closed. There was no one for us to talk to. And we were totally just up a creek without a paddle.
Yeah. Yes, we were. Yes, we were. We ended up working it out.
Yeah.
So that's all good
that
things. That's all good things. Another thing, like, yes, use currency, especially if you're going to different countries. But a lot of places, credit cards or bank cards are accepted. So check to see if it is accepted. Visa and MasterCard are typically your best bet. They're accepted in most places. Yeah. I will tell you, American Express is accepted almost nowhere.
Yeah. And also, though, with your credit cards, try to get a credit card that has no foreign transaction fees.
Yes.
Because if you are relying on your credit card when you're gone, you don't want to be racking up all these fees just because you're using your credit card. That just doesn't make any sense. So try to get a credit card that doesn't have any foreign transaction fees. But also pay attention to if there are any requirements. Like one of the last times we went to Europe, we had to have our debit cards and our credit cards needed to be chip cards. Otherwise,
and that wasn't a thing in the US
the
yet.
machines wouldn't read them.
Yeah.
Which luckily we found out before we left. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had a way to get money.
Right. Yeah. There's also a tap to pay. I know the US did this briefly, but then there was a lot of fraud that happened with it, so they stopped it. But some countries still use that, and it's actually the easiest way to pay for most countries. Or not most countries, some countries.
Some countries, yeah.
And then also you need to set a travel notification.
Yeah, you're so good at that.
I actually do that ahead of time.
I never remember.
You can do it. You can do it. I think you do up to a year ahead of time for some banks and stuff like that. You go on, you're going to leave. You don't even have to leave. You just set the travel notification. So in case you do leave on this date to that date, you can set it. You can always change it later.
And that way your card doesn't get turned off and you have to spend half a day talking to the banks and making your money accessible again.
Yeah. So that's not fun. Now, if you bring cash, that's a good thing to do, is to have some emergency cash with you. Just keep in mind, exchange rates are probably not going to be in your favor when you go to a lot of exchange places, especially when you do stuff like airports, train stations.
Airport is the worst, typically.
Do your research on exchange rates for stuff.
And a lot of times, like if you look it up ahead of time, you can usually figure out what's going to be your best option. If it's going to be the same everywhere, if you should go to a bank, if you should get it before you leave from, say, AAA, if you have that, or whatever. Yeah, just kind of also know where to get money if you run out. These are all good things as far as planning goes. Apps. Oh my goodness. We might do a whole episode on apps that you can use. There's so many apps. Even, like I said, even if you don't have internet access, they're still super helpful.
But as far as just currency, there are apps that you can pay with. You pay for everything. China, you could use WeChat to pay for everything.
Yeah.
You get delivery, you pay with WeChat. You're in the taxi cab, you pay with WeChat. You go on the train, you can pay with WeChat. It's amazing what you can do. We didn't do it because you have to have, like, for something like that, you had to have a Chinese bank account in order to do it.
Right.
But there's things like that. Australia and New Zealand had a tap to pay, where if you have an iPhone, I know Androids do it too, but like if you just double click on your iPhone, your credit card pops up and you hold it up, you could pay with that in New Zealand. We never did it because I had the wrong card set up on my phone, but it is an option. There are other pay apps that you can use in different countries too. Those are just two examples that I know of.
And then one of my favorite apps, nobody likes doing math. So there's the currency exchange app.
Yes.
Which
that
is
one's
great.
A really good one.
And if you have internet, it'll be up to date. But if not, the last time you opened it with internet, that's the exchange rate it has on record. And you put in a number in US dollars and it'll tell you how much it is in a different currency, or vice versa, which is really great when you're trying to rack your brain of like, well, what would it be? Like, I multiply that by what? Or,
Yeah.
huh?
You just look up currency exchange. You'll find some good ones. Read reviews.
Yeah,
Don't just get the first one you have. I don't think we paid for this one. I think
no,
this
it's
one's
a free app.
But there are ones you could pay for that have more capabilities of doing things.
And obviously, like you said, there's so many that I think we will do an episode on
Helpful apps.
Helpful
apps, yeah.
Which, please, if you know of any really cool ones, tell us.
Yes.
Because I love finding new helpful apps.
Yeah. So away from money now. We're done with money. Well, we're not done with money. We're trying to get money all the time. But the thing to consider while you're planning is your home.
Yeah.
Who's going to take care of it? Like, who's going to water your plants? Take care of your lawn? Check your mail. That's a big one. Check your mail or have your mail held at the post office.
Right.
They can do that. Just make sure you're doing something with that because that's something that can let other people know that you're not home.
Yeah.
So you want to have your mail checked. Don't forget about your pets. Are your children staying at home, or do you have somewhere for them to stay? Is your just they can do all this sort of thing. Is your house burning down? Is your Netflix getting lonely? Is there beer that hasn't been drank in your fridge? Right. There's things that people can do for you just to kind of help you out.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're going on a weekend trip, this is not the end of the world. It'll probably be fine. But if you're going to be gone for a week or 2 weeks or more, you're probably going to want to think about some of these things and talk to a nice person who lives nearby and will help you by, maybe watering your plants or walking your dog or cat sitting or what else?
Right. It's just
anything.
Yeah.
Anything with your
anything
house.
that you'll need. Kind of along the lines of your house is you need to make sure your bills are paid.
Yep.
If you pay your rent by check like we do, make sure you send out however many
if you're gonna be gone
when it's due, you could send it out. Like we send it out early and we just post date it.
Yeah.
So they can't deposit it, but we'll leave a note with them too, just to let our landlord know that we're going to be gone also. We say, hey, if you see anything weird, we let them know who's going to take care of it. It's always a good thing to let your landlord know if you're a renter.
If you don't have things set up on auto pay, like if you don't have your utilities or phone or whatever on auto pay, make sure you're not going to be missing any bills while you're gone, because chances are you're not going to think about it while you're gone and want to pay your bills. So either pay them ahead of time, set up a payment ahead of time, schedule it for the future. But you don't want to rack up unnecessary fees because you're having fun on vacation and forgot that you had to pay bills. Right.
Another thing that goes along with that is credit cards. Those should be paid off already. Giving the microphone a stern look right now. Yeah. But yeah, your credit cards, you want to make sure that you don't miss that payment so you don't get interest, which is free money for the bank.
Yeah.
I mean, really, when it comes to all this planning, we went through a lot there. You got your flights, hours operation, accommodations, transportation, packing, activities, food. I mean, I don't want to go through all of it. There's a lot of this here. How do you keep track of all of it?
Yeah.
Well, what we do is we have an itinerary for at least most of our trip. Mm-hmm. We make at least the skeleton of our trip, so we have motivation to leave the hotel room. We know we want to do something on, we're gone from Monday through Thursday. We know on Tuesday we want to go to that taco place.
Right.
So we have a motivation to go out.
Yeah, I don't like having it completely planned out to the minute or hour or whatever. I like to leave some room open for spontaneous changes or, going on adventures.
Yeah.
And getting lost, and I don't know, unexpected things happen when you have time that's unplanned.
Yeah. You can go into detail if you want, though.
It depends on your style, what makes you feel more comfortable.
Yeah, so I have a good example of going into super crazy detail about a trip that I planned all on my own on a Google sheet.
Our own.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I helped.
Yeah, she did help a lot. She did help a lot. Oh yeah, she did most of the actual like, here's the cheapest stuff.
It was a team effort.
Yeah, and I did how it was actually going to be like mapped out and, you know, make sure we actually have a day somewhere and not having to land and then go right back to the airport because she forgets about the travel thing, you know.
Travel time is a real problem in this world.
It is.
Why can't we apparate? That's all I want to know.
But yeah, so I have this really cool Google Sheet that eventually we're going to have a way for some folks to access that. It won't be yet, but we are going to work on that. If you're going on a shorter trip, just keep track of all your confirmations and receipts that you have for everything, because you just never know when you walk up somewhere and they say, nope, we have no record of this. If you show them a receipt, an email, or something that shows that it's from that
they
location,
should be able to fix it for
they'll
you.
either fix it for you and tell you're in the wrong place. Hopefully it is the former, not the latter. If you're doing a longer trip, I like using a Google Sheet or Excel sheet just because it gives me a peace of mind. It shows me in a very calculated way where everything is fitting.
And it's really easy to find, especially like I said, if it's a longer trip or a very complicated itinerary.
Yeah.
It's very easy to quickly find what you're looking for.
Yeah. And if it's a short trip with a heavy itinerary, or even just a long trip with a light itinerary, we like to bring a folder with everything printed out in case we don't have access to the electronic versions of everything.
Yep.
So we print everything out and have that there. So yeah, I think that is, those
are the basics of planning, everybody.
Basics of planning. Now, if we missed anything, you let us know if we missed anything as far as that, or if there's anything that you do differently. But before we get to everywhere you can meet us at,
we actually it's coming up on our 2-year wedding anniversary. So we are planning a trip. Currently, we are in the very beginning stages of...
Wait, we go on trips?
Occasionally.
Okay.
Whenever I can convince everyone to let us. Jokingly, but actually serious. But we're planning a trip for our anniversary. So we thought it'd be fun to do a bonus episode, kind of live planning, and put all of the stuff we just talked about in episodes 3 and 4 into practice so you guys can see in a more real example what we're talking about.
Yeah, kind of a makeup for us having a little shorter episode last week, and even our first week was kind of a shorter episode. We're going to try to keep our episodes about as long as they are this week, somewhere around the 45-ish minute range. But yeah, since those ones are a little shorter, we're going to throw you guys a little bonus and maybe give you guys a sneak peek at what's going on later for the future of this podcast. Thank you for listening this week. If you enjoy this show, please share us with your friends.
And review us.
That's right. You can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts.
Seriously, we're everywhere.
Everywhere. You can follow us too on Twitter at CarryOnCouplePC, Instagram or Facebook. That's Carry On Couple Podcast. And you can also email us.
That's right, at carryoncouplepodcast@gmail.com.
Now, we're all about these free podcasts. We're just doing this for fun. Really, we are. However, if you do want to support us, we won't say no to money. Just go to anchor.fm/carryoncouplepodcast and click the support this podcast link. We have an exciting opportunity for you. That's right, you can be heard on Carry On Couple Podcast.
What?
That's right. It's simple. You just download the Anchor FM app, search Carry On Couple Podcast, tap voice message, and start recording.
That's right. And if you have any tips and tricks of your own that you want to share, or any fun destination stories from a recent trip that you went on, please leave us a message.
The great thing is you can still listen to Carry On Couple Podcast on the platform of your choice. But if you want to be heard, download Anchor FM and leave us a message.
Until next week, thanks again. And remember, you and I, we're in a club now.